Welcome back to Chow Time Pod. It's your host, Red. And video today from Replicant Fish. Please like, comment, subscribe down below. I really appreciate it. Let's get that chow. It's chow time.
The Gen Z subreddit is horrifying right now. If you've been over there, you're probably asking yourself, how did this happen? But we know how it happened. There was a documentary a few years ago that outlined how this has happened. And frankly, we ignored it. You may or may not remember the social dilemma, which if you haven't watched in a long time, I recommend it. It explains a lot of what happened in this election cycle. But what it explains most is something that I know is happening because I have talked to young men who said this happened to them.
Did the red pill ruin Gen Z men and women? 4B feminist. Alpha male gender war. Interesting, isn't it? Arrows incoming. Expected. Go ahead. In my previous video, I mentioned how I realized myself that I should and need to be more accountable and actually try to make more content for younger men. I hope you're focused and on your square.
Yeah, shout outs to you, Replicant. I'm glad you are. There is an entertainment factor plus an education factor. I hope that a lot of creators do kind of do.
Now, will it work or not? That doesn't matter. It actually doesn't matter. This is my point. Beyond certain things, beyond money, beyond postulating and arrogance and all that BS, what responsibility do I have as a millennial man? As a millennial man that talks to men? Many years ago, I realized red pill content is not for younger men. It's for men of a certain age. Let's say later years in college, post.
I actually kind of agree with this now that I've really internalized a lot of things myself, just because young men kind of need to get out there, kind of need to stumble forward and stay confused kind of thing. They need to go through the trials and tribulations. If they automatically adopt what we kind of push at that age, it kind of ruins the relationship era in that age too, from what I can tell. Just internalizing some things.
College upwards, to men that have been in relationships, dating and marriage and whatever, men that have had more interactions with women. Because
Correct.
The perspective is, I think those men can decipher and break down certain things better because
Correct.
They've had more time too. But I'll finish explaining that in a second. Let's get back to what she was saying.
That is from a very young age. Gen Z has been online and they have been exposed to radicalization on websites like YouTube. They were fed Andrew Tate, Jordan Peterson. I have talked to young men
I wouldn't consider a Jordan Peterson radical, but okay.
who said they started watching this stuff in elementary school. And if you're thinking, well, the millennials had internet, there was 4chan, you're absolutely right. And I think a lot of millennial men, and correct me if I'm wrong, millennial men, but I think a lot of them went through a cycle themselves of being like a little radicalized and pushed to sexist content. The difference is that millennial men were exposed to the real world at the same time that they were online.
Yeah, and that's an interesting point. Comment, millennial men, comment. How accurate is what she said? I mean, do you agree?
I actually agree with her. Yes, we had more real life experiences than a lot of the Gen Zs. Because, I mean, look at the pandemic. The pandemic kind of ruined them for a generation in a sense that for 2 years, they couldn't even really socialize. They couldn't even go out and meet people like that. Where I grew up without the internet. You know, I didn't have the internet until I think about like 12 or 14-ish maybe. And then I didn't have my first cell phone until 16, which I paid for myself. And I didn't get an iPhone until 19 or 20 when iPhones first came out. They came out like 05, 06-ish, maybe 07-ish, maybe. I don't remember. But I was still just fresh out of high school when iPhones first came out. I didn't have the technology. I didn't even use my phone as often as I do nowadays. So I can agree that young generation, they're plastered onto this. That's all they're looking at. That's what I all see. Most young people are addicted to it.
With what she said, I mean, I see this myself. For all the merits of the red pill, you can see that it has a lot of flaws as well, and you can and should take a lot of things with a lot of salt, to be honest. But then again, it's because a lot of men our age have experienced enough real life before the internet to understand enough of a balance. Like a lot of men our age have been there and done it. Some of you got kids, some of you been married. But the point is, have lived long enough to see the reality of a lot of women ourselves. Whereas a lot of Gen Z men that grew up on the internet, they didn't. They're just literally seeing and hearing what a lot of men are saying on the internet. What a lot of men are saying on the internet, the conversations a lot of men are having on the internet. And indeed, yes, as grown men, a lot of us are having these conversations. But this is why I've always thought, and this is admittedly why I didn't aim videos at younger men, because I always thought, a lot of this stuff is for older men. It's for grown men. An unpopular point, I think a lot of young men need to actually go through certain things to understand, okay, yeah, Yeah. And
that's, I 100% agree with you, Rep, because they're not going through these trials and tribulations. They're not going through a lot of these things. They're just seeing it on the internet and hearing me, hearing you, hearing everybody in the space talk about it and warning them and guiding them away from a lot of these things when they've never experienced it themselves. They need to at least understand what we're talking about in a sense. Oh, like, yes, they understand, but understanding or like someone telling it to you and you experiencing it and then internalizing it afterwards is a big difference. This is where I always say you got to fall on your face. You got to fall on your face and then your ears open up. A lot of younger men never fell on their face. Their ears are just open, and it's kind of setting them up for a life of loneliness because we push more towards that way for self-preservation and things like that. But young men haven't even tried the trials and tribulation to even see where they belong in the market.
just seeing the amount of Gen Z men that voted one way in this election is just like, whoa, damn, whoa, easy. I remember videos from like about 6 years ago where men were celebrating teenagers becoming red pill, and I was like, this is nothing to celebrate. It will not be healthy in a world where a lot of teenagers start to become red pilled. Now,
I was one of those guys. I was excited. I was happy that 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, like young men were like absorbing this, but then I also internalized. I even said it like in another video, guys, where I'm like, our advice is wonderful, but it really makes society a lot more lonelier because men are out there self-preservating. We'd rather not deal with accusations, marriage, divorce, women taking advantage of us, gold diggers, and, promiscuous women and all these things. It makes for men that have never experienced it jump into our boat immediately, and they will never experience it, right? They will experience it such a different way that I don't think it's healthy for them.
I wouldn't understand why. But that's the point we're making here. As millennials, Gen Xers, and older, we've lived long enough to have a broader understanding on certain things.
True.
Even if you're a grown red-pilled man yourself, you understand what you can and take. You can leave and, I'm going to leave this. I can take that. Yeah, that's
Correct.
good advice, good information. Yeah. I resonate with that. But that over there is bollocks.
And I think this is where like Fresh and Fit, I think they have a really good hold on like the super younger generation, and they're more like absorbing the Fresh and Fit style of red pill and manosphere.
Had time and lived long enough to be able to decipher things better than some of these young men who grew up with iPads and iPhones in their hands. The point amongst all this waffling is young men are the future. As millennial and Xer, boomer, as older men in general than these younger men now, these Gen Z men, it will not benefit us at all if young men don't become better. And this is the point I'm making. Young men, I believe, need to go beyond everything that us as millennial men are doing, including the red pill.
They had real friends, they were dating, they talked to women, they realized this is nonsense, they moved past their little edgy stage. And I think that's what people expected to happen with Gen Z. But the reason it's not happening is that Gen Z is dating in severely lower rates. They don't have third places where these young men hang out. This is a generation of men who spends time at home, on the internet, on video games. So Gen Z doesn't realize, and I don't know how they will ever realize, that they are living in an echo chamber because they were born into the echo chamber. They do not have the life experiences of other generations.
Now, I'm not saying I agree with everything this young woman's saying in this video. I'm not saying I agree with everything she's saying. I'm just using her waffling as jumping off points because she's making some decent points.
Yeah.
She is actually making some decent points. And this is my point about taking our feelings out of it as grown men, as older men. Because think about it for a second. As millennials, a lot of boomers and older, they can't say anything to us, can they? No. You'd cuss them out, wouldn't you? As a millennial, yeah, you would. Yeah, you would.
No,
You would. I
guess. I mean, no. I'm in the boat of respect elders. This is the problem. Probably one of the biggest problem in our society nowadays. People don't respect elders in any way, shape, or form. Someone that's 10 years older than you, 5 years older than you, 10 years, 20, 30 years older than you has a different life experience than you. They deserve a different level of respect. And this is where it comes back to respect again. Elders deserve respect, right? They deserve this certain level of respect. Everybody wants to talk about this cordialness and bullshit or whatever it is. No, it's respect. you must respect elders, right? That was instilled into a lot of generations, that elders provide something that you cannot provide, or have knowledge of something that you don't. Just because you have the internet now does not make you smarter or better than these people in any way, shape, or form, right? Because of that life experience that I always want to say that the older generation has. They've gone through the trials and tribulations. They didn't see the internet the way young people see the internet, but the young people just think they're smarter and better and constantly debating against older people, even on the most basic of knowledge.
No, you would, I would. Not to be rude, but we get the point, don't we? For the way as millennials, we hold on to the fact and gloat about the fact how futuristic and modern and super we are, Gen Z men themselves have to get to a point where they surpass what we are as well. It's not good for them to become stagnant. And when I mean for them to move beyond what the red pill is, I'm not saying for them to abandon the good points for modern men in that. No. Embrace that. Embrace the good points. But to go beyond, to understand there are certain things that need to be left behind in this modern world going into 2025. And it's, to be honest, to young men. A lot of millennial men are bitter. They're dusty. They are scorned and have been there and broken by the relationships and marriages and whatever. And a lot of them do have a certain perspective. However, the point is they have that perspective carved over time. And again, it is dangerous for young men to adopt very heavy, perspectives from men who have lived long enough to understand what they're talking about. But these younger men are just hearing it. Because, no one wants to be a beta male, do they? Yeah. However, when everyone's an alpha male, no one really is. Are they? Can you even tell who is anymore? Yeah.
We know facts. Marriage is overwhelmingly unsuccessful. It is way more dangerous than skydiving. Yes, you die from the skydiving, but the chances of a catastrophic skydiving incident is like 0.0003, and one where you die is 0.00001. It's like very limited, the chances of dying from skydiving.
Now, this perspective here, as grown men, a lot of grown men would understand this. They'd understand it firsthand, and they'd understand it firsthand multiple times because they would have got married multiple times. But yeah, more grown men, perspectives like this, we understand, whether we've experienced it directly ourselves or we've had family members, friends who have gotten married and divorced, and you've seen it. So my point is, as older men, we're going to break down what this guy's saying in a different perspective compared to younger men. The younger men would hear it and be like, oh yeah, my God, I got to be careful, all this type of stuff. And indeed, yes, as younger men, you got to be careful. I don't agree with marriage, in modern times, You can get effed over. It is more dangerous than skydiving. However, my point is perspectives. As older men, we're hearing this speech from a different perspective than younger men would. But as older men, would we take it into account that younger men would be hearing something slightly different? Some would say this guy's angry. Why is he so angry making this point? He does seem angry. However, some would say, no, he's being passionate. He's a lawyer. This is his job. He deals with this every single day of his life. He's a lawyer, He deals with divorce every single day. So he understands that he can be passionate about it. He should be. Why would you want to hire someone that isn't passionate about their job?
True.
Exactly. So again, perspectives. Every older man does not owe it to younger men to kind of like guide him and let them know that, some of this stuff is bullshit. Understand when to leave the bullshit on the table and take what's healthy and nourishing for you. Some older men don't care. They don't need to care. But I think that's where a lot of us as older men go wrong.
Well, that's why I always give the caveat. Don't listen to everything I say. Don't listen to everything all of us say. You gotta cipher for yourself. You gotta take in what's more useful. Remember, there is nuance. Us in the red pill space and the manosphere space, we don't talk about nuances that much. We understand why we don't talk about nuances, because it'd be too hard to go through all the nuances. But your lives are nuanced. That's the difference. So you might fit in those nuances here and there, but you can't really use the full general advice that we give because you're so nuanced, which is fine. This is where I say, take in what you can, what you can use it in your life that make you improve or whatever it is, and then just kind of like put everything else on the wayside. I'm like, you know what? I listened to it. I don't fully agree. I can't see it being applied in my life. I'll put it away.
Wrong. We probably need to care more. But it's like too many young men are red pill now. Too many young men. And people act like the opposite of being a red pill man is to be some soft wimp pansy. Oh, you're not alpha, you're beta. Really? But that is the challenge to younger men. To see the BS of even what millennial men are saying and understand, yo, is that bollocks?
True.
How much of that is actually bollocks? Yeah. What from this can I take and make something better? Modern marriage is not good, no. It's not good. But older and younger men are seeing it from a slightly different perspective. And that's just based on time.
Whereas the chances of divorce, again, 56% divorce rate. How many stay together who are unhappy and they just stay together because they don't want to give up half their stuff or for religious reasons or whatever? This is a technology with an unbelievably bad failure rate.
The more people die from marriage or skydiving?
I think more people wish they were dead from marriage than skydiving. I
actually think more people are dead from marriage because the men that are hard working that kill themselves, or when divorce happens and they off themselves too.
Many people's sense of self dies as part of an unhappy marriage. It's not a question of will you die. It's that you're alive and not living your life in a way that's enjoyable.
Damn. Like, that's deep. Again, perspective. A lot of us as men understand that, don't we? I understand that. Oh, I understand. Again, perspective. A lot of us as men, our age, older, around our age bracket, we know that firsthand.
We do.
We've lived long enough to have had relationships that last decades plus. Again, the point. Some of us have had relationships longer than some of these younger men have been alive.
True. I mean, I was married for 12 years. We were together for like 14 years. So, yeah, 14-year relationship is more than half of most of you guys' lives. It's probably almost half of my life.
Do you understand? So again, it's the point to understand we've had vast more perspectives than a lot of these younger men are doing, yet they've gone to the extreme of being like some of us, and they've barely lived. It's like, yo, young man, you barely lived, bro. Give it time. You've barely got any hair on your top lip, bro. Give it time. On another hand, even in saying that, it is to understand the world we live in now. These younger men aren't growing up in the world we grew up in. So of course, a lot of them would be radicalized very easily. A lot of them wouldn't see very much hope in the future. Therefore, they would lean to a lot of these places on the internet, a lot of these content creators and whatever. But in the end, the way I see it now and the way I see it going forward, I don't think it's healthy. I think more balance needs to be created. I think even young men within themselves need to actually start creating some more balance.
I think this is why people enjoy watching me, right? It's that balance. I try to genuinely, logically go through all of the red pill things myself and like, oh, okay, I don't fully agree with a lot of these things, but I can adjust it for at least how I view things. Like, again, I'm very big in the family. I think family is absolute. I think kids are the end all be all, personally. I know some of you guys don't care for kids, nor do you guys think it's the end all be all. I just can't think of anything else more better than kids, because it's literally a copy of you or multiple copies of you that gets to live longer than you and go on to do great things, hopefully. Like me doing great things in my life is cool, but if all of my kids do great things in lives, that's 3-4 kids that are doing wonderful compared to my dumb ass. I don't know. It's just how I see things, but I'm sure people think differently too.
Within their own language. A man like Andrew Tate's already rich. He's already who he is. He's already like, most of the young men that listen to him will never get anywhere near to where he is.
True.
Like selling fairy tales to women, he's selling a fairy tale to young men.
True.
In some way, dudes like that, they're selling the modern Disney, aren't they? They're the modern Disney to young men.
I see it. I've been thinking a lot about this lately, just because a lot more of the bigger red pill, the bigger manosphere people are gone now, in a sense. So I just want to rethink, how should it be approached? Like, should we really force it onto men, kind of thing, or just have men absorb it as they want to go? Because he's right. Young men now, I know quite a few that are super big in Andrew Tate. I'm not that big in Andrew Tate. He has great points here and there, but it's weird that a lot of the young people idolize these people, idolize Andrew Tate, idolize Jordan Peterson, idolize these people like as they're almost godlike figures. And I think that's more of the problem. I hope you guys don't see me in any way like that. Like, I'm just a normal guy. I went through a divorce. I didn't know what to do. I made content and I'm still learning and growing with a lot of you guys. Some people think that, oh, how am I saying these things when I'm supposed to like give advice? Well, the thing is, advice is constantly changing for me because I'm constantly still growing and changing. My core values are very solid, but there's things that can slightly change, can make me understand a little bit better that, oh, maybe my core value on that particular subject was a little harsh. Maybe I need to soften it, or it was too soft and I need to harden it. Like, I don't know that maybe it's just people want to idolize something. They want to believe in something, and the replacement of God. I'm not religious myself, guys. I'm Buddhist, but I'm not that religious. But I think the replacement of God with all of these other false idols. The reason I say it like that because it made the Bible talked about it, and because people are going after these false idols in a sense, they're not getting the true education or the nature of life itself.
Selling them a dream, a fairy tale, and a fantasy. Yet these men aren't really getting what they want in life, are they? And that's not even any hate to any content creators, because I don't care. For any of you that do care, understand I don't care. My life is actually too real. You can care though, and waffle and cuss into the ether. No one cares.
A way that's authentic to who you are. And I think a lot of people are doing that as a function of the choice that they made of marriage. When someone says, I'm getting married, why is it impolite to say, why?
Good question.
Why? You're about to do something incredibly dangerous that fails so much of the time. Why not just say, why? I'm not saying, why would you do that? It's stupid. I'm saying, why? Because most people's answer doesn't make any sense. First of all, you're not even allowed to ask the question why. If anything, if you don't say, oh my God, that's so great, you have intimacy issues.
Yeah.
There are general differences between men and women on these tests. So I published a study on 46,000 scans looking at gender, and we're not the same species. Female brains are wired for leadership. They have much stronger frontal lobe function. And the statistic that goes with this is who goes to jail, right? Whose behavior is so bad they have to put you in a cage. Males, 14 times more.
Okay, all right. Some science. Some science. Now, obviously, this guy's a professional. He's a qualified professional, obviously. And he's saying women's brains are more wired for leadership than men's. Okay. And I could say one could beg to differ. Yeah, really, one could beg to differ. However, what I've just done is part of the problem. To a degree, isn't it? For me to just boldly say, oh, yeah, none of these women can lead. Please, better leaders. I'm going to disregard even what this qualified scientist says. Yeah, whatever, bro. Whatever.
Oh, I get it now. Yeah, I do this all the time, actually, because I think, yeah, maybe I feel like I know better, right? Because I've experienced what I've experienced and seen what I've seen. I feel I know better. That's why I would disagree with this gentleman greatly.
You're trying to get clicks and views yourself, whatever. You're catering to women. But how many young men would hear older men make those points and just run with it without ever having first-hand experience themselves? Now, I understand a lot of men say, men don't need to have first-hand experience to understand how dangerous certain things are. True. Indeed. But look at my point again. Time. The perspective that we have as men with time. A lot of men have seen firsthand, a lot of women in leadership roles have been awful because you may have experienced it yourself having worked under a woman, worked with women or whatever. But a lot of us as men of this age bracket have experienced it firsthand. So we say it boldly because we know it's like, yeah, please. I get it, some women have better leadership skills, but please. A lot of these women out here, they're too emotional and they fumble a lot. But look at that point I've just made. How many young men would interpret the point I've just made to being like, no women are good at, no woman can lead. No woman ever can lead ever, at all, ever, never, ever. You know, without the perspective that a lot of women couldn't. A lot of women, not really better leaders. But that's not to say none are. You see?
Well, there's that other side of things where they say, I've just my thought process, even if they can, right? They can lead. I still assume that there's a male leader that can do better majority of the time, just personal.
As grown men, we may take time to break it down, to explain in more detail the differences between the male and female brain, and to not just say, we got better brains. We got better brains than these dusty garden tools. That's why they have whore minds. They're just like Eve. They can't get enough.
More than females. But their emotional brain is much busier. And so that explains why they're at a significantly higher risk of depression. Structurally, the limbic system's larger in women because it's partly involved in mood, but also deeply involved in bonding and caretaking. And there's not one society on earth where men are primary caretakers for children. You sort of have to go down to penguins before you get that. Seahorses as well.
So forget being generalized. We're hearing it directly from the neurologist's mouth who did the studies, who've in fact determined that we're almost like we're not the same species. Factoring into why there's so much gender wars between the male and female humans, because we are operating from faulty programming that has been socially constructed rather than us looking to nature for how we're supposed to live.
Okay, woman, I see your point, but I'm kind of getting an air of feminist, some feminist vibes going on. She's radiating an aura of feminism,
Just
can feel it evaporating through the screen. No, I'm just saying, she probably isn't, but I'm just saying. You sort of her gloating on the superiority of the female brain. Oh, we're smarter than men. See, we're better than you men. We're smarter. Really? I'm just saying.
Making fun of single mothers because they don't have their matriarchs is what the real issue is. Because it doesn't matter whether a man is in our life or not. We can do what we need to do. All we have to take is your sperm. So at the core of these conversations is really
this is where the bullshit happens because statistics says otherwise.
Feeling insecure because you guys feel useless. And the more women fight for their freedom and independence and show you just how much we really don't need you, the sadder you all become.
And that right there is the dumb narrative that pushes a lot of men towards the red pill. Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like coming full circle. Again, it's almost like it doesn't matter what I say to a degree. I understand that the rhetoric is so strong coming from the other direction, coming from women. Look at this 4B stuff they're pushing so hard.
He's 100% correct. It's not that we ever recruit men. It's not like I'm out there like, hey, listen to Red Pill. Yeah, come on, Red Pill. No, I just do what I do, and men gravitate towards this because they're lost. They're getting trashed. They're getting all these things from the other side. They don't know what to do. But when they see something on this side that makes sense, logical sense, of course that makes sense to men.
Post-election, it's like, on one hand, you understand it's sort of pointless, but you can't just leave it there being pointless. You can't just like say, I'm not gonna try because it's pointless. No, the reverse echo chamber is men hearing these women on the internet waffling their anti-male, misandrist, man-hating BS without context. Now, from a lot of women's perspective, they believe they don't need to give context to men like, F you, men. I'm not giving you any context. Well, women that have been hurt, F you in your context. This woman, obviously, she used a neurologist, obviously, as evidence to make her point. And I'm using her and the neurologist to make my point. Yeah. But the point is, even with this woman gloating about a certain point, her rhetoric in it, the fine details of what she's saying, a lot of young men would hear. This woman is just saying that as women, we don't need men anymore. We don't need you as men. You're useless as a man. What use do you have? You couldn't do anything for me. We have our own money. We have our own technology to pleasure ourselves as well. You're useless to me as a man. Without context, a lot of young men are just hearing that without the full context of understanding. A lot of these women are talking absolute crap. A lot of these women are waffling, talking out the side of their head. Don't take everything personal. Don't take it seriously. To fully understand, a lot of these women wouldn't survive without a society of men to keep society going as well. But how many younger men would understand enough context to understand and not take all this stuff personal and serious? Like, oh, please, woman, whatever. Keep talking what is because you're single, you ain't got a man. Yeah. And some dude broke your heart. That's why you're on the internet making this video. Really? We get your point. Different brains, whatever. But really? Again, time enough to add context and look at any point from multiple perspectives.
Much we really don't need you, the sadder you all become. Y'all are just in survival mode, fighting for your life to have access to women.
This works the other way around too, that women on the other side are fully immersed into the echo chamber of feminism and all of that. They don't actually have any real life experience, just like all of these young women picking the bear over the man. They've actually not have enough life experience to even say that. And even through their own life experience, they haven't experienced anything that bad for them to say man, but they've already been indoctrinated by man or bad when they were young. So I get the two sides of the coin.
Women that so many don't want to give you anymore because we realize that it's not you who's the god. It's actually us.
You see, there you go. Oh my God. Glorifying the point so much, it would push men towards those places. those spaces. Third places don't exist anymore for men to just like, for young men to just go out and interact with a lot of young women. That's why a lot of things are internet based now. Like a lot of social clubs for younger people and just things like that don't exist anymore. Even clubbing is dying. Clubbing's dying, and clubbing was never a good place to kind of meet an actual good partner. You can meet some buddies, but you get the point. So what would a lot of young men think right now when they see all these women 4being it up like no tomorrow all over the internet? What would young men think without context to see the cap, see the lie, see the BS, like, oh, whatever, woman, please. Because whereas older men, we've learned to not take a lot of these women seriously. We can laugh a lot of it off, but how much can young men do that? How much are young men fully taking on and taking in everything these women are saying as if it's gospel, even if they hate it, even if they hate it?
Ladies, something has happened in the past day. Have you noticed? It's almost like we collectively found our voice. It's as if we got yanked out of bed and we woke up from this nightmare that was our reality, but we couldn't see that it was a nightmare. And now we see it. It's undeniable. And we're fucking pissed. And because we're so pissed, what are we so good at doing?
What? Lying? Yeah, seriously.
We're really good at organizing. We're really good at planning stuff. Well, not me, but a lot of the other ladies are really good at planning stuff. We're really good at connecting community. We're really good at building community.
I would say yes. Women are usually good at these things, but modern women are not, because you guys never got instilled this ability in the first place. This ability was passed down generational upon generation.
We're really good at making grassroots movements. And I cannot tell you, I always scroll my For You page because I love, love, love the creators that I follow. And I have to say, in the past day, their voices are more bold. There's like this statement of, I am in this world, this is what I stand for, and this is the community that I'm building. I love that.
Okay. And in being a modern woman who loves that, yeah, a lot of the wording with the new emboldened, more bold, powerful new woman post-election is the 4B movement.
Yep.
Now, again, how are young men seeing all of this? We as grown men are seeing it as well. But understand, young men could be seeing it on a more extreme level than we are. Even if they don't take it fully seriously, they could still be seeing it on a different level than we are seeing it.
This actually makes
Oh,
sense.
look at these women becoming even more radicalized and feminist. We need to maintain and hold strong as men, because these women are holding strong themselves. Look at them uniting. They're powering up, uniting like the Power Rangers or Voltron, whatever form of giant robots uniting. You get the point. All right, they're just uniting like giant mechanoid women. You get the point. Analogies, whatever, you get the point. They're coming together, en force, en masse, and spitting 4B. Spitting 4B like it's a new mixtape. A lot of women, it's a new modern woman mixtape. Yeah, the new modern woman mixtape. 4B waffling, complaining broads. Yeah, whatever. Trash mixtape. But seriously, young men who are already radicalized, them hearing women making these statements, it would push some men, over the edge even more. It would make some of these men hold it down even more, hold down their fight even more, hold down their pill even more. I got to hold down the pill. But it's sadly, I think, as an older man, to their detriment as young men. If we talk about balance is healthy. But if we look at the election results, especially for Gen Z men, it's like, it's not balanced. I mean, that ain't healthy, man. Come on, that is not healthy.
I would say that we're on the right track. And here's the thing. I do have a weakness for astrology. I'm not an astrologer, but I really...
An astrologer. I did not know there was a title.
Really feel like, and it's also my culture too, like in these old cultures, I'm Chinese, there's a deep, profound respect for astrology and astrologers. And when I say every single astrologer and then some who predicted a Harris win is saying, guys, just wait. Just wait.
For
just
what?
wait till November 15th. Just wait till December. Just wait. You're going to see things unraveling. And it's going to be not surprising, but it's going to be justice.
Okay.
Because, and I want to remind you, as we are ascending, we are moving into this period where it's the apocalypse. It's the ending. It's the end
Is
game.
it?
And
Okay.
apocalypse just means, I didn't mean to scare you. Apocalypse just means that things are being revealed. The hidden is being
That is not what apocalypse means, but okay, go on.
revealed. This would be a really bad time to do illegal stuff. This would be a really bad time.
What, like drugs? Honestly, post-election, I wouldn't be surprised if a few people did a bit of drugs. Yeah, a lot of people seem stressed out, by the results. So, okay, just don't hate yourself.
Time to be a sketchy person because it's all gonna come out. So, my friends,
This is just funny because he's just repeating what Cat Williams said in this interview, that all the truth is coming out this year, but she's just using her own little spin on it.
continue sharing your voice. I love it. I love feeling that fire. I just taught a class today on sovereign embodiment, and oh my gosh, we were so on fire because you need to embody your sovereignty. You need to own your body. You need to own your mind. You need to own your energy.
One can't tell the future.
Men don't own our bodies. You know that, right? Our body belongs to the government.
Nothing's guaranteed, however. In terms of gender wars, something I'm seeing right now are civil wars within the genders. But is that a good or bad thing?
Hopefully it wasn't too bad. I waffled quite a bit on some of the subjects, but yeah, no, I like that Replicant is actually rethinking all of his content and how he should kind of relay certain messages. And I don't know, I feel bad for the young men that can't seem to decipher things, and yeah, they don't have the experience. The lack of experience to me is actually huge, because to tell you the truth, I think experience is probably a lot more valuable than knowledge from the internet. Please like, comment, subscribe down below. I really appreciate that. I'll catch you guys next time.